Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I hope that you're good. So today I'll be talking about how do you trade fundamental news, or you can say how do you trade Forex news, or how do you trade news in Forex, right? Yeah, without wasting any further time, let's get to it. Before I start with this channel or with this video, at the end of the video, please stay tuned because at the end of the video, I'm gonna give you the gold strategy that I'm using that have money to turn a $10 account into 300 and I think it's $325 in 2 months. It's not in 2 weeks. It's in 2 months using two news events that I'm gonna reveal at the end of this video. So stay tuned. All right, cool. Going back to Forex, how to trade Forex news, right? Obviously, before we learn how to trade them, let's learn what are Forex news, what do they do and all that. So in terms of Forex news, there are a couple of news that drive Forex, right? There's a lot of events that drive Forex. So I'm gonna talk about the standard news that will drive Forex. Those are the news that you'd probably see them on your television. There's wars, there's earthquakes, you get what I'm saying? So those are the kind of news that also drive Forex, but those are rare news. Like floods, heavy rains, those are rare news, right? But they also do drive Forex currency, depending on where they are happening, whether it's happening in South Africa or it's happening in USA. So obviously it's going to impact the currency negatively or positively. It depends on what's happening. So those are the kind of news that you see on television, right? And then there's those common ones that we always talk about, like interest rate. Those are our standard news. We call them news events. You find them in economic calendars. Your GDP, your PMI, your CPI. Let me go to the site investing.com to show you what am I talking about. So you've got something like this: construction PMI, interest rates, initial jobless claims. You get what I'm saying? Those are the news events that are common to Forex traders and to fundamental analysts. They always come to this calendar and see what's happening, right? So if you're on this calendar, you can go to investing.com and then go to economic calendars. Then you'll be able to see the news events, right? So since these ones are common, I'm not going to talk about those ones that I was talking about, the rare ones. I'm going to talk about the common ones that we all have access to, right? So one thing to also understand to read in terms of reading, how to read this economic calendar is you've got previous, you've got forecast, and you've got actual, right? So when you come to this calendar, you're gonna see these two. Most of us, you're gonna see previous and forecast. Actual is the actual number. That's the actual result. Forecast, obviously, that's what they forecasted, and previous is the previous actual. What was it before, right? What is it currently normally before the results? So they will be like previously, this is what they presented, and then the forecast is what analysts are thinking would be. These are just predictions, anticipations, and all this. You can call whatever, but that doesn't mean that they will be actual. But most of the time they are correct, but not all the time, right? So just to bear in mind, doesn't mean that if actual is more, which means doesn't mean that when the forecast is more, which means the actual will be more. Looking at this event that happened on the 6th of November, which was Monday, the previous was 4.5, the forecast was 4.6, and look at the actual. Actual was smaller than the forecast. Then what happens to the market? Now it creates chaos because people were so focused and anticipating that it was gonna be a 46 and instead 45.6, and those are the things that create a lot of confusion in the market, right? So when I start seeing like something like this, whereby it's less than the forecast or it's bigger than the forecast, I don't trade. because I know there's confusion in the market. You'll be having people buying, some selling at the same time. So I always wait for market to calm down, right? So wait for market to calm down. All right. So just like here, let's look at interest rate. Here, if you can look at interest rate, previous got 4.1, forecast 3.5, and that was exactly, look at the results. This is positive. This is straightforward trading. You can be able to say, okay, sharp, forecast was this, and then this is what happened in the actual. Then you can trade. This becomes an easy way to trade this kind of interest, this kind of news event, which is interest rate. So obviously there are a lot of them, but I only trade interest rate. I only trade CPI. You'll see here it will say CPI. PMI I sometimes trade, but not all the time. So you have to understand that this news event, they react differently based on currency, based on the country. There's certain country whereby if PMI is being reported, there's not much of a movement. But there are certain countries whereby when the PMI is reported, now the graph starting to get crazy. Now, like, there's more volatility. Like the graph starts to go up and down and all the stuff. So it depends on also which country and how important is that news. All right. So looking at this now, I think that week we had, this is also this one, Bank of England. When somebody's speaking, unfortunately, sometimes you don't have access to this broadcast, and you'll just see a graph going up and down. So those are the things that you also need to look for, right? GDP also as well. GDP as well. You also need to have a look. But I normally go for H. This one, the YOY. Sorry, I always go this because this one, this is a yearly. The QO ones, these are the quarters, right? So, and as well, it depends on the currency, because on GDP it might not even react. You might not even see any reaction. But if I know the euro, it does react. So you have to study how this news react on each and every currency if you're gonna be a strict fundamental analysis trader, right? So these are the news event that you probably need to look for in order for you to start trading. You need to learn how to trade this stuff. And then obviously, apart from this, there are normal news whereby they'll publish them in certain side, like they'll just publish the news out of the blue. Normally, obviously, those kind of news you can also find them on television or probably radio. But obviously, radio, I think it's less used nowadays. So you probably find them in television. So you have to, like being a fundamental trader, like you always have to be on the lookout for news, right? But which is good because fundamentals, they drive Forex, they drive the charts, right? So they are the key. Those are the key drivers of Forex news. So it's either it affects the country positively or negatively. All right. So yeah, I think that's it from in terms of like where to look for the news and what are fundamentals. So now let's go to the strategy that I was talking about, that I promised you guys that I'm gonna give you a strategy about how to trade gold and how I've traded gold from the $10 to $300 and something, right? So I'm gonna give you exact news event that I've used to trade gold. Only gold. I'm not gonna give you all the currencies, only gold. And obviously in Forex, gold is this. Let's go back to that. This is the same. This is the currency pair for gold. And obviously in some brokers it will say straight gold, but in the common is XAU/USD. That's gold, right? So how I've traded gold in the last 2 months, I was using NFP, right? I've also, even if you can go through my channel where I'm talking about gold, I think I've posted a short video. It's under a short while I was doing the analysis before the news event, right? So how I trade gold, I use NFP, right? So NFP comes every month, first Friday of the month. You see NFP. I know you've already heard of NFP, right? I'm trading gold using NFP. right? So what happens is I go to weekly time frame, right? And then I look at weekly time frame. I'm like, weekly time frame, where are you? So here, that is last month. That was, I think, that is the October, first week of October. I looked at it and I've realized that, okay, this, at the moment, gold is at support and resistance, right? Of a weekly time frame. I use weekly time frame to analyze gold and to trade this fundamental, this fundamental. So I come here, I'm like, okay, this is at support of weekly time frame. It's at support of weekly time frame. So now, once we get an NFP, positive or negative, I'm gonna buy because it's at support of weekly time frame. And one thing to bear in mind about the news is it doesn't mean that the positive news, which means it's buy, and doesn't mean that negative news, which means it's buy, which means it's sell. Sorry, you get what I'm saying? So sometimes positive news might mean a temporary buy and a long-term sell. So that's one thing you also have to bear in mind. So it depends on obviously what kind of trader you are. Are you a short-term trader, which is are you a scalper, or a long-term trader? So I hold this news. I scalp along the way until the next NFP. So that's how I've made that $300 from $10. So what I've done here, I was like, okay, cool. This is where support is for weekly time frame, and I'm expecting the news. Obviously, NFP by the time NFP was positive, right? So NFP, a positive NFP to other traders will mean that, okay, which means it's a positive USD. So they will expect that the gold will sell. And what happens? Gold sell temporarily for first 1 or 2 hours, and then look at what it did. Boom. Same thing happened this month, which is November. First week of November. I think you guys have seen the two negatives of USD. You've seen negative NFP, negative unemployment rate. What happened? Temporarily, gold bought for that event. Look at what happened now. So what am I doing about this? What I'm gonna do is, and I'm still holding the sells here. I'm still holding the sells here because the buys, since there was a new event which is like the first week of this month, I'm holding the sells. I'm waiting. I'm gonna hold the sells until the next NFP and see which location. I'm anticipating that we might see up until here, depending on the next NFP. We've got two areas here, right? You probably it might come up until here or until here. I'll just monitor. But at the end of the week, sorry, at the end of the month towards NFP, I do my weekly analysis and see what could be a possible move. If it's around this area, I'm looking for buy. If it's around this area as well, I'll be looking for buys as well. So I just need to look at where is the price at the moment, right? So looking at the last one, let me remove this. The last one for November, this was the weekly high, right? Look at what did the price do. Take all the buyers that expected the buy, right? That was still that move. So obviously someone would be like, okay, this has broken this resistance, so it's gonna continue to buy. But no, we are about to get NFP. So news, obviously, they, just like I said, they drive the market. They'll break any support, they'll break any resistance, right? But how I've noticed that this works is whenever it's at a support or is it a resistance, is at a resistance level, regardless of whether the news are negative or positive, on this weekly time frame, it works well. If it's in support, it's gonna buy. If it's in resistance, it's gonna sell. But obviously, based on what the news are saying, if the news are saying something is positive, it's gonna buy temporarily, even if it's at the resistance level. It's gonna buy just like it. It's gonna buy temporarily and boom, go down because it's at resistance level. So it's gonna take people out because of they'll look at the news and be like, news are okay. News says news are positive. Positive means means buying, and forgetting that this is at a weekly resistance. So that's one thing to bear in mind, and that's one thing that worked for me. That's how I've managed to turn a $10 to $300. So that's it from my side, guys. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe, guys. Please share it with your friends, and also please do not forget to leave your comments. Thank you, guys.